Hello everybody, today I have the pleasure to propose to you this key 42 entitled The Technique of the Chaos. So, as usual, I'm gonna start with an explanation of what is about the concept concretely. Secondly, we will define what's the scope, the field of application. And this time we will combine the techniques plus the tips together. Okay, so what is this concept that which is personal, that's baptized like this, techniques of chaos? To make it short, what is it concretely? Is just the fact to highlight, to emphasize what you have um, in your daily life as a routine, and the fact to take it out, okay, to feel the lack of this thing, and also to miss it just by doing the experience, and or just to visualize what would be if you would lose this or this. Okay, I give you a few examples for you to understand better. The lockdown, okay, during the pandemic period, okay, most of the country in the world have been obliged to do the lockdown. Okay, so definitely when people, I mean, when it was the exit of it, so for example, for France, it was something like around 20 of, almost mid end of June. In Britain, it was before, Spain, it was before, and so on. In different countries, it was before. But at this moment, when it has been officialized, when it has been official, the exit, let's say, people were like reviving. Okay, it was like the liberation. Okay, some testimonies in Europe was like this. Just the fact to go for a drink on a terrace became extraordinary. Okay, the the let's say ordinary things became extraordinary due to the lack of freedom at this period with the notion of lockdown. Okay, so it is exactly that. Second example, if you want, is the notion of beautiful weather. Okay, some people think blue sky and the sun is the normality. If you live in Florida, if you live in California, if you live, I don't know where in the world, this is almost a normality. But it's not the case everywhere on the planets. I come from north of France, okay, 10 kilometers from Belgium in the north, close to Lille, all right? My childhood has been actually almost 20 years of darkness, in the sense that very bad weather, equivalent of what is in Britain, okay, raining all the time, gray sky and so on, almost the same in Belgium or Netherlands and so on, but it has been my whole childhood, okay, so meaning thereby that, so it affected my mood and so on, and by the way, I even orientate all my life according to that frustration, traumatism due to that. I really suffer of the lack of light, for example, the sun and the lights, and that's why I choose business initially, just to travel the world and to live in a country where there is light, the sun. Okay, so it was a quest of sun, and also for, in addition of that, it was for doing charity with more scope at the end, but also in parallel with that, it was for meeting the world, different cultures and so on through the trade. It was different, but the quest of sun, it was really my motivation. Okay, so but when it was the sun was shining when I was young, it was incredible. It was really incredible. For me, it was like I was crazy. I was flying and so on. And I remember because when I was maybe something like 20 and so on, my family is more from east of France, okay, another region, Lorraine. Anyway, and the mother of my sister husband, they are from south of France, Montpellier, okay, close to French Riviera, just for visualizing. The weather is very beautiful there, okay? And I remember because we used to do Christmas there, okay, in Lorraine, okay, east of France, for which the weather was not necessarily always good. And I remember she was complaining, I mean, not really complaining, she was saying, oh, it's really depressing, the weather, after 3 or 4 days, it's really gray and raining and so on. And I said to myself, but okay, but it's normal. And for her, it was depressing to have this type of weather 3 or 4 days. And for us, it was a miracle when we had a beautiful weather. You see, it's completely different. For her, beautiful weather was a normality. For us, it was extraordinary. Okay, it was on different perspectives. So just for you to understand this principle. So what's the reason for being, what's the application, the field of application of these techniques of chaos? The first one is to highlight the lack. Okay. Secondly is to emphasize or to highlight as well your routine and the small things or people and so on that you have, but you don't see anymore. And thereby the third one is to appreciate more life and to be more happy, to be happier, more fulfilled with what you have. Happiness is not necessarily to have what you to get what you want, but to be satisfied with what you have. Okay, so in this video, this time, this key, we will just see and combine techniques and tips. Okay, so we're gonna do like 18 different challenges for you to really integrate this principle and maybe to emphasize your happiness in your daily life. The first one is to think about the fact to be healthy, for example. Okay, it's not a normality to be healthy. A lot of people are suffering. Okay, they can be punctually sick, ill, and some other they have huge disease like a cancer and so on. When they are in hospital, they cannot move anymore and so on. And just by respect for these people, and even for you, try to appreciate and to be grateful for that, just the fact to be healthy. You know, I'm gonna share with you, when I was young, actually since I was 2 years old till 18 years old, I was suffering punctually almost every day. I had really big pains, okay, of my stomach, okay, and it was really like horrible, like you know, trembling, having sweating and so on. It was not a long time. The only thing I had to do, it was due to stress probably and what I was eating, and my stomach probably was a little bit delicate. And the only way to cope with this problem and this pain, huge pain, was to go to toilets, okay, and to poo, okay. But it was not so simple. And the moment was, I wanted to die. It was horrible. I cannot explain how painful it was. But when it was finished, oh my God, thank you, God. And I was saying to myself, oh, great, now I can enjoy, I can go for playing and so on. Even when I was 16, 17 years old, I was in science, let's say, course. And I remember I had exam of mathematics every Tuesday, okay? It was 2 hours. And I was a little bit stressed by exams. That's why I didn't like exam at all. Anyway, like most of people, of course, I imagine. And so, and I explained to my professor that I was sick and I needed to go to toilets punctually at the moment during the exam, maybe after 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and so on. I was going, 5 minutes later, I was coming back, and so on. So it was organized and so on. The logistic was okay. And you cannot imagine that I didn't like school, I didn't like exam, but after having these horrible moments, I was coming back to my desk, And I was saying to myself, "Oh, great! We have an exam, but it's okay because I have no pain anymore." You understand the point? I hope the fact that life was becoming amazing, and even the task normally I don't like so much, I didn't like so much, I was appreciating them because of the fact not to have pain anymore. So a second technique, so I invite you to visualize your health and to figure out when you were sick, for example, punctually and so on, to see how bad you were feeling. Okay, so second exercise or second techniques or tips, I invite you to do the test, so the key 23, okay, with breathing, hyperventilation. You know, when you do a pause, you hold your breath, okay, it can be like a or when you exhale. Okay, so try to do it, because me in the video I do 3 cycles, 1.5 minutes. Personally, I do much more than that. I do 2 minutes, 3 minutes, even more sometimes. Okay, so you can imagine when I push a little bit and I force myself and so on. Oh, how good it is. Or on the other end, when you just exhale, how good it is to breathe. So I invite you to push a little bit in apnea, okay, just to realize how good it is, just basically to breathe. Breath in, breath out, breath in. And it's positive moment, positive moment, positive moment, positive moment, and so on. Is a balance, is a swing of only positiveness. Okay, and you can see it's personally, I had 3 cases. I do surfing here, and the waves are quite violent. It's quite dangerous for families and so on. And 3 times, sorry, I had a problem with the current, the stream, and so on. And even with you know, when you have too much water and you cannot breathe anymore. And at this moment, you have to keep to have a kind of self-control. And 3 times I say, it's the end, it's finished. Okay, I cannot anymore. And then suddenly you have miracle, and then how good it is. And I cannot imagine how horrible it should be to think, or to, I don't know, to die, I don't know, like this, to be buried and so on. It should be horrible. Okay, but just try to figure out the fact that is some people have respiratory problems and they suffer a lot. They have an assistance and so on. So even for them, try to realize how good it is just to breathe. Okay, every single morning, many times during the day. It's important. Still in the same idea. Third, try just to drink quite a lot of water. Okay, and you don't go to toilets immediately. You keep a little bit. Okay, you want to pee. Ooh, I cannot wait. I cannot hold, and so on. And then you will see how good it can happen when you are in a, I don't know, in a car or in a meeting, or it can happen. You don't have necessarily an access so easily. Just at the moment you can go to pee. Oh, I cannot stop anymore. And it's so good. It's so good. Same for pooing. Is the same principle. But even that, okay, these moments become just amazing. I swear to you, it sounds to be weird to say that, but no, it's not weird. You know, when you say what's going on? Going on means to go to poo. Okay, and if you don't, it means that you are not healthy. Okay, because there is not the good circulation. So some people are suffering about that. So it's a pleasure when everything goes well. Okay, if you see what I mean. So I invite you to do a test. If you can do 24 hours, for example, to keep, if to figure out that your arm is broken. Okay, and especially the one you use for writing, of course. Okay, so try to figure out. Maybe you already have been injured, So in that case, you can remember how was it. So it's a little bit complex and annoying and so on, but you can do the test one day. You will see how good it is just to be able to be free of just your leg. Sorry, not your leg, your arm. And then honestly, you appreciate even more. So in parallel, let's try to do another technique also with the leg. If you break your leg, is another story. If you cannot walk anymore, you know the moment you go for trekking and you say, oh, I don't want to walk anymore, I'm too tired and so on. When you lose your leg or your legs or you paralyze at the extreme, you would dream about saying that, oh, I cannot walk anymore. Okay, you dream about not being able to walk anymore, to be tired about that and so on. So this is also another thing. Okay, fasting. Okay, I invite you. I told you I'm fasting. I mean, I only have one meal per day, so I appreciate it always. Okay, every time I talk to you, I'm fasting, so I'm always very hungry. Okay, so during this period of the video, it's my third day. I didn't eat for almost 72 hours. Okay, 70 hours. So I'm gonna eat in a couple of hours, and you can imagine how I'm gonna enjoy it. Okay, you know, when I'm with my partner, sometimes she really have the feeling this is an orgasm. This is orgasmic moments. I swear to you. And honestly, my taste buds are completely, wow, it's an explosion. And it's so good. And there is nothing, I'm always taking this example of cucumber. I can eat, I don't vomit, but I don't really like it. Honestly, if there is so after fasting, during my salad and so on, it's absolutely not a big deal. And even a salad normally we say, oh, it's a bit boring, it's not tasty. It's perfect, thank you. You know what I mean? Honestly, do, if you can afford, your metabolism can afford, do at least fasting sometime just to realize how good it is to eat. Because once again, it's not normality. A lot of people on this planet don't eat as they wish, as they need actually. Okay, so this is really important to figure out, and thereby you are in a process of being grateful for life in general, God, whatever you call it, or just in general, thank you for having this meal and so on. Honestly, is really important. Try to figure out to lose your partner as well. Okay, sometimes she pissed me off or he pissed me off and so on. Okay, so just figure out, you separate, you break out. Okay, she lives or he lives, or she or he dies. Okay, I'm not talking about the pain you would have because he's dead, sorry, but just figure out, okay, it's true that I don't like when she does that, but I miss her, you see? And this is really important, very important to figure out that, okay? So by extension, try to do it for someone else, okay? Try to visualize if this person passed away, okay? Like a funerals. And if you're in conflict, maybe you would perceive things differently. You know, it's happened to many peoples. In funerals, you see people and say, oh, they regret not to have say what they had in their mind, in their heart, and so on. So if the person is still there, I invite you to think about to maybe to forgive, not to forget necessarily, but to forgive if there is a conflict, there is a, try to resume the discussion and so on, because we are losing so much time with that sometimes, you see. And when this person disappears, then you keep a anger or let's say a frustration not to have said anything, or and so on and so forth. So if so, try just to figure out, and it can be, give you an example, it can be I don't know, you think about your wife, and you realize that by doing that, if she she passed away, you would be completely destroyed. And you realize that this last month you didn't say that much, or you didn't show that much how much you love her or him. If it's, and so I invite you to think about that, and maybe to say, I love you, or just to embrace, to hug, and so on, or to demonstrate something. And this is important, you know. And you know, for instance, there is some different cultures. Okay, I know that Latinos, they say expressively, "Mami, te quiero." Okay, like this. I love you, ma'am. In States as well. In Europe, not that much. With my parents, they are really lovely, perfect education, and so on. But we never say that. I love you, ma'am. I love you, dad, and so on. This is not the same culture. I know they love me, but, and I say several times to them, maybe 2 or 3 times, like this. I wrote on the paper, it's indelible, okay? And they were a little bit embarrassed, you know, and but it was not a big problem. They didn't say by return, or maybe, oh, me too, or, oh, you know, me too, because I know they love me and so on, but I don't know why. I needed to say just in case one day they passed away and I live abroad, some very far away and so on. So just for them to know how grateful I am for their education. And I say many things as well. I say all what I had to do, like my luggage are ready. If they passed away tomorrow, okay, I'm clean. I say all what I had and so on. Even the fact to, you know, we kiss with my parents, but we don't hug, you know. Same Latinos in Mexico, in Mexico. I remember people, they are really abrazo, like this, you know, really a strong hug, you know, energetic and so on. And it's good as well. And I did that with my parents several times, and I was feeling better after. Even they were not expecting that, even if they are not giving me back this in return, I did it, okay? And I think it's important. I think it's important. It's up to you to value, but just the fact to, that's why I feel in peace, because I clean up all the relationship I have with people, and I think that I say everything to the people I had to say something. And it means that I don't plan to pass away tomorrow, is not the point. But if it's happened, okay, I feel comfortable with life in general. I can rest in peace. And I can also live in peace now. That's the point. Try to think about that, of course. More down to earth practice. I invite you to visualize, or to try to do a test of 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, if you can afford it. Not to have electricity. Personally, I did it recently. Was the last time was Nyepi is a celebration for New Year here in Bali. It's in March or April, so it's kind of imposed. It's especially for lights. Okay, so but I did completely 3 days in October 2020. Okay, for which I went in the middle of nowhere alone here in Bali, and no electricity, no connection, nothing at all. Okay, with myself. So no light means here it's night at 6 o'clock. So of course you can imagine you see the stars and so on, and 8 o'clock, 8:30, you're sleeping. Okay, so then you wake up very early, but it's another rhythm. But just wow, when you come back, okay, to civilization, even 3 days, wow, you enjoy everything. Switch on, switch off, switch off. Oh, air conditioning, because here is very humid and very hot. You love it. Things like having a shower, okay, cold shower, hot shower, depending on the weather. Just have different access to oven and so on. It's amazing. It's fantastic. Okay, I did 12 days when I did a shamanic retreat in Mongolia. Okay, in the middle of nowhere. It was fantastic, amazing. I invite you to do at least one day. I invite you, so this is the principle of Shabbat for Jewish. This is, they do that for 24 hours every Friday by 5 o'clock, Friday p.m. They stop using technology till Saturday, 5 p.m. So it's the same principle, it's the same objective. It's just I mean, it's not, it's just to, for inner gazing, for meditates, and to enjoy life with family. Okay, this is really to concentrate on important things. That's the point. I invite you to do this test as well, not to use internet at all for 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, 1 week, and so on. During my trip in Mongolia, of course, it was 12 days without internet also, and I was a CEO of a company and so on, so you can imagine that at the beginning you don't know how to manage, but this is something, a routine I have here. I switch off my mobile 7 p.m. here every night, and during my Sunday it's completely off. I just don't want to be dependent about any pop-up notification and so on. I just want to be out of technology at least for 1 day. This is just personal, but I invite you to do the tests, and also you're gonna enjoy it. Then you come back to internet, oh, it's so good, you have an access to the world and so on, you can discuss, chat and so on. That's why internet, social media, and so on. This is a good servant, a bad master. As long as we use it properly, with a certain detachment and so on, it's just fantastic. It's marvelous. It's really tremendous. Anyway, just I invite you to do this test. Same for the mobile phone. Okay, try to do the test 1 day, 2 days if you can afford, 3 days and so on. We do it in our shambolic retreats here. We suggest, it's not imposed of course, but most of people do, and they just have an access on nights, and they can see their dependence towards technology, and especially mobile, and for them just to try to see how they can survive and manage as well. I invite you to visualize also, to visualize if, for instance, your computer and your car is broken and you cannot use at all for 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, and so on. Why I'm saying computer? Because it's central in most of lives for working and so on. Car as well. Personally, I don't have a car, but I imagine that a lot of people, especially if they live in a village and so on, they necessarily ought to go to civilization or to go to work and so on. They need necessarily their car and so on. So just to realize that, yeah, just a car is amazing. Just a train is amazing. Just a subway is amazing. An amazing technology and so on, for which sometimes we are a little bit capricious, saying, oh, a strike again, oh, it doesn't work again, and so on. Yeah, but it's already good that it is there normally on a normal period of time. I invite you to do the test 13, which is you don't use mirror and you don't see your face during few days. Personally, I did 12 days. It was during this shamanic trip. Okay, so I imposed myself not to see myself in the mirror and so on. 12 days. At the beginning, it's a little bit delicate, and then you take it as a routine. But you cannot imagine when I discover my face after 12 days. You know, it was a little bit like this. It was like, I am this, and like, you know, a really caveman discovering himself. Definitely, it was like this. It was surprising. It was really a good way to detach from your face, your appearance, your ego, and so on. It was obviously deeper than just this, but yeah. It's an interesting, I invite you to do this challenge. I invite you to think about the fact if you had to lose only one sense, see, hear, touch, and so on, only one, okay, what would be this one that you choose to sacrifice? I invite you to do the test 15, which is try to classify by order of importance which is the sense which is the most important. The view, touching, and so on and so forth. Okay, smell. You try to put it by order. For me, I tell you, my most important one is to see. Okay, that's matter of fact. Okay, it's like this. Then you try to do your own one. Okay, maybe some people is more the sound and so on. It's really up to you. Okay, try to think about that and to take a little bit of time. Try to think to figure out that the media announced the end of the world. Okay, it's sure at 200%. Okay, humanity, mankind, only have 1 year. Okay, so it can be, I don't know, satellite arriving on Earth, whatever the condition, we don't care. It's just the fact, and this is not like chaotic. You don't need necessarily to go to bunkers and so on to survive. No, no, no. Just you have 1 year. Try to do a kind of planning and try to figure out about that. What would you do concretely? What's your plan? What's your planning? During your schedule during 1 year, what you plan to do. Okay, then obviously a little bit more synthesized. You only have 1 day to live. Okay, what would you do? Extraordinary things, normal things, you will contact those that you, up to you. Okay, I don't impact you, influence you. I already told you in the past, when I wake up the morning here, it's still 9 because I wake up quite very early, like 4 o'clock, depending, but around 4 o'clock, it's still dark till 6 o'clock. But after a while, when I see the sun rise, here from my balcony, I see the volcano which destroyed the island several times, okay? I live at 5 kilometers from the sea. The tsunami threat is still possible every single morning. It destroyed a lot of parts in 2004 for the big tsunami in all Asia. So it's possible. Earthquake can happen now when I'm doing this video. We lived 9 earthquakes here. So actually, do you think that I said to myself, oh, and I'm stressed, anxious, and so on? Not at all. It's like injecting a little bit of the disease to activate my immune system. Every morning, even now, it can happen. It's 5 seconds, it's life, okay? As I can die, I don't know, with a plane, with a car, whatever, and it can be the same for everybody. But it's reinforce this notion of chaos in the sense that I live more intensively my day, my daily life, by honoring that and knowing that all the moments will be amazing, because I need that. Okay, you understand the point? It's really important to, I mean, it's personal, but also it's a way for me to not to procrastinate, you know, not to postpone, to say, I will do that later and so on. No, I do what I have to do, but at least I take time. I take time. This is really important. If you don't take time, if you don't manage time, time manage you. This is important. And to realize how beautiful life is. I mean, according to our perception, of course. I invite you to think about, the last one is, if you had an eternal life, okay? So, would it be positive? Would it be negative for you? It would be stressful? It would be, I don't know, you would think, I have time, and in that case, no pressure anymore, and so on. Think about that. Personally, I already have my answer. I mean, it's personal. I will not share with you, but try to think about it, okay? So, I invite you to think, to do actually this test of these techniques can be applied daily for everything regarding all the topics that you can have, just to you understood to highlight what you have. Happiness is not to get what you want, all what you want, but to be satisfied with what you have. This is important. Okay, no time to lose, to postpone the fact to say I love you, to enjoy life and so on, is really the mindfulness aspect of life. All right, I invite you to think about all these elements to apply in your life if it vibrates within you, for you to be more happy in your life in general, to be more fulfilled. And this is only one key for you to shape your master key and to open up the doors of the consciousness, the gateless gates of the consciousness. And also, as you know, all the roads lead to Rome, and to home, and to the dome. Thank you for your attention, and see you very soon.